Welcome back, everybody. Today what I want to talk to you about is a brand new image generation model which is released under Apache 2 called Lumina Image 2.0. So let's go and take a quick look at their GitHub.
If you don't want to miss my next video, hit that subscribe button, because YouTube ain't going to tell you.
This is the project. It's now got native support for Comfyui, so we've got a new workflow pack. I'm going to take you through the first set of workflows, which will get added to in time, I'm sure. But for now, it's everything you need to get started with Lumina in Comfy. So you don't actually need to download this. Luckily, we just need to grab the model. So thanks to ComfyOrg for producing the Lumina Image 2.0 repackaged checkpoint. So that should have everything inside of it that you need. So clip, VAE, everything's inside the checkpoint with the model weights. So that's 10.6 gigabytes. I don't know if this is FP8 or if there will be like quantized versions of this coming, so it might even get smaller. I don't know whether this is already quantized. Does it actually say? Doesn't actually say. But if it's, like I said, if it's this size now, it's possible it could get smaller. Who knows? But essentially, what I've done is I've written a short article here on how you can get started. So you've got the GitHub, which we've just looked at. Then you've got the Hugging Face link to the safe tensors that we also just looked at. My link isn't there because I've just literally added it. So the link will be there when you read the article. And then I've also put a link to the official example as well, just in case you want to see what the original looks like. It's pretty much the same thing. All I've done is added in a few bits and pieces that we like to use. So over here we have the Lumina pack. It's looking a little skinny because of course I've just literally opened it up. I'll be adding a whole bunch more right up soon. I've got a whole bunch of examples because I wanted to show people how it does a pretty good job with text. And I would say this is a really good illustration model. So it's really good for making like cartoons, comics, drawings. It's really good at this sort of illustrative stuff. I don't know why that's rated R, because there's definitely no rated R's in my thing. Oh, is it because there's a couple of nips? Yeah, probably because the nipples. And I also tried doing a bit of this. So we said put the text at the top, you know, and then generate our image. And I've used some prompt lists from Lora's, which I've trained obviously without the Lora loaded, but it does a pretty good job of estimating what I'm describing with my prompt. So yeah, like I said, we've just been throwing whatever prompt list we have at it, and it does a really good job. Some of these are upscaled, so bear that in mind. If you find like a particularly large image, let's see if we can find one. I mean, that one maybe. I'm not sure about these ones. These ones are, I think, well, you'll see the size. It's probably this one. This one's probably upscaled. So yeah, we put it through a 1x and then a 4x, 1x refiner again, and then a 4x upscale model like face up sharp, something like that. All right, so it's all pretty standard stuff because the fact that it's native means you can use it with anything that you normally would use in Comfy. So the game is on to see what it can do. But yeah, it's pretty good at doing this sort of stuff. All right. Moving on, these are the workflows in the pack, so let's just dive in and take a quick look at them. So text to image, right, so obviously we have our Lumina 2 checkpoint in the right place in the checkpoints folder. I've put on my aspect size thing, so you can just put in the aspect size that you want here. SDXL can be used because it's a 1024 by 1024 model, as far as I know. It seems to work. Also, I've swapped out Auraflow for model sampling flux because you can use it just exactly the same. I'm using a boost of 1.5. When I say boost, I mean max and base are the same value, but you can say base is lower and you can have like a range, an envelope, if you will. Okay, so we ended up using CFG4 with 36 steps, and I'll show you why we ended up doing that. Okay, so sometimes I might use 1 if I want to like turn it down, but essentially this makes it listen to the prompt a little bit more even though the CFG is low. So you get the benefit of accessing the model depth, but also you get the it listens to what the prompt is. So here we have, I asked for, let's just have a look at the prompt as well, because the prompt is really interesting. I'm not going to do this on every workflow, because it's the same sort of thing, but this is the most interesting thing about this model. There is a tag, which you put in the middle of the prompt, says prompt start. Before prompt start is the assistant prompt. So this is the system message that you use with the LLM that's generating your images. Now, I experimented with changing this, and yeah, there is a difference, but I couldn't. It's not really like really hard. It's not like a really strong difference. So this is what it's you're supposed to start every prompt with this. So I do, and then this is just literally a prompt straight out of my Cthulhu Bishop prompt list, and then we've added, to see how good, to test the model, large font title at top reads hard, and then more attention on that. Okay, and so there we have it. So we have our tentacle priest, our Cthulhu bishop, and you've got the words hard in a large font. And the reason I said large is because it gives it a bit of freedom as to what that actually is. Okay, and this hasn't been upscaled or anything. This has just come straight out. So this is actually really good, considering what that prompt was supposed to make. This is pretty close to what it was supposed to actually make, but we're not even using the trained LoRa, which is really cool. Right. So again, text to image, very simple. Put your text in, put your negative prompt in, off you go. All I've added is the file path generator. So you will find your outputs in Luda. So output, Luda, basic, T2I, Lumina. So this way you can have, usually I hook up a primitive. Well, you'll see what I do with this later with the project name. It automates things so you can find your files more easily later. Anyway, so that is this workflow. Let's move on. So I think this one was the simple. So now we're moving on to prompt list. Okay. So in the last one, we used a manual prompt. In this one, we're going to feed the prompt in from the prompt list down the bottom left. Okay. So if I just run one. So what I've done is I've split it out because we were experimenting with it. So you have the LLM prompt, you have the prompt start breaker, and then the prompt list. So in this way, we can put it all together and assemble a string which would be the same as before, but we're putting that, and then obviously my large font title at the top reads hard. So that's how I did that. See, there's the Cthulhu Bishop in Zenkai Prompt 4. The reason I'm using Prompt V4 is because you can blacklist, and then it will skip prompts until it finds stuff which doesn't have what you don't want. Okay. I wasn't using that filter, but okay. And then after that, I'll talk about widget to string in a minute. After that, what we've done is we've assembled it, and then I've tried a little trick here, okay, which is a bit sneaky, but what I've done is I've said image, painting, drawing, sketch, swap those words for photo, 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 okay, and when we were testing to see how good it was with photorealism, and then after that, instead of editing this, I used another prompt swap to change photo to illustration. So that means that anytime it sees image, painting, drawing, sketch in a prompt which I've taken out of a list, it's going to swap it for illustration, because it aligns with the model really well, because this is what the model is good at. It's good at illustration. Okay, now what's going on this side? So remember how I said that my project file path generator was actually driven. So one of the folders is driven, okay, normally by a parameter which I just set, but I wanted to show people how you do this. So obviously I'm using a prompt list right now, so I want the folder name to be the prompt list, but I don't want it to be the folder name to be this.txt. So what we're doing is we're using one of KeyJai's nodes, widget to string, and we're going to pull text file widget name. See, we've written here. See, it's written here. That's the widget name. So we write text file, and that's going to pull Cthulhu Bishop -captions.txt. And then we use Comfy Roll custom node CR split string, and we use the delimiter of the dot there. And then what happens is string 1 is Cthulhu Bishop captions. The dot is the delimiter, and then string 2 becomes .text. So then we can just send string 1, which is the name of the, the name of the prompt list we're using. So then the output folder will be Luda, the name of the prompt list, T2I, and then the file names inside will all start with Lumina. So it's like automatically organizing it for us. So that's what that's about. And then obviously if we change the prompt list, we don't have to change the project name. It automatically changes. Okay. So you are an assistant designed to generate superior images, etc. Prompt start raw illustration of XCX style. Now remember, there's no Lora loaded, so this is just the trick. This is just a prompt list for a Lora we don't actually have. So it's Cthulhu Bishop, unholy, ordained cult leader of secret Lovecraftian eldritch order, tentacle mutation, moon tentacle standing solo holding, large font title at top reads hard. And as you can see, it did a banging job. Okay. Really quite nice, actually. Okay. So yeah, so essentially it's just the same as the last one. I've just showed you how you can add in a prompt list, retain this so you can play around with that, and then obviously a way to automate it so that all of, if I change this now to Cyber Society v6, for example, and give it a run, it's going to change the output folder name to Cyber Society v6, and it's going to be easy for me to know what the hell I was doing when I come back to it in a week and I've forgotten exactly what I was running through what with what. So that's useful, and obviously you can make this more or less complicated. It's up to you. But widget to string is super useful, and CR split string is also super useful when you're trying to make your complex automations. So here we have some examples, and there you have it. There's some Cyber Society. It's not my art style, but it's the same themes, which is really quite funny to see. Anyway. All right, so that brings us to the end of this one. So now we're going to look at Lumina CFG Garden. Now, this was originally much, much bigger. It went from 2 to 7 or 8, I think. And here what we see is CFG 3, 3.5, to 4, 4.5, 5, and 5.5. So we're talking about CFG here. And we're still using... Oh, no, I've got my model sampling flux up, so I have already done that. Ended up with 36 with 1.5 and 4.0. Like I said, it's this one that we ended up going with, 4.0. Sometimes it would follow the text better. May as well just run it and we can see. But sometimes it would follow the text better with the higher CFG, and then sometimes it would be more artistic with the lower CFG. But ultimately 4.0. Sometimes it would be 4.5 or 3.5, but 4 was the best. So the defaults are good. We like I said, it's not like it produces bad images either. It's just a slightly different flavor, and I think you'll be able to see that as we do this. So let's just keep things moving. There's one more called T2I Advanced. We'll come back to the CFG Garden later. So with T2I Advanced, what we've got the same prompt stuff here, and all I've done is I've given a demo of what you might do after you've made your image. So what we've got is a cheap upscaling method which you can bypass. Okay, so you could, this is a 1x refiner with DJPEG Omni SR, and then followed by my interleaved tiled upscaler at 768 using upscale model loader. So we're going to do face up sharp dat. All right. And this is a bit of a cheat because it only actually upscales half, and then it does interleaving for the other half of the rows in the image. So it's efficient, but this is even more efficient, which is just doing interleaved upscale with no model. So you can think of this as interleaved, so refiner 4x with interleaved upscale, and then you've got this one which is basically the opposite. The only thing with this one is if you're doing like a portrait, you have to swap this round. I was thinking about feeding the numbers in, but it works best with 1280 by 720, and when you swap it round, for portrait, it doesn't matter what size you put into it, by the way. All that matters is that you swap this round and then it won't squish. But I might make like a V2 or a V3 or something that automatically detects a different, it's possible to do that. But for now, like I said, I put this up here for a quick option. So you can just bypass, if you have these, the way it's set up right now, it's possible to just drag that to there. And then it'll still use these if you don't turn them off. You've obviously got to turn these off and turn them on, but the point I'm trying to make is you only have to do that to connect it to the quick method, right? But this is a much better, you get a really good quality with this one as far as I can say. And then we're doing a color match with the original image, and then we're doing an apply image LUT with my favorite D-Log V3. So let's just go back to the CFG garden and take a quick look, because I did make it into a spread. So what we've got is on the top, we've got 4 in the middle. So here's 3, here's 5, so 3, 4, 5. And then on the bottom row, these are the 0.5, so 3.5, 4.5, 5.5. So I think you can see, there is a visible shift in what's going on as you move up the CFGs. But none of them are bad, you know what I mean? They're all good. So it's just a question of, I found that overall across many, many prompts, 4 tended to be the best, but you might decide 5. So, okay, right. So that covers that. If we go back to the advanced version, I'm not going to bother running one of these right now because I'm looking at the runtime and I'm trying to I don't want to waste your guys' time, but I think you can appreciate, upscale the image, do a 1x refine, then do a 4x with your favorite model. Doesn't have to be these ones. Doesn't even need to be my upscaler. Use Ultimate, whatever you want to use, yeah? A color match makes sense because we've just done a bunch of upscaling, right? You don't have to use the LUT either. You could just delete that if you don't have it. But I did do a video on it with a link to show where to get all of these. And then that's it. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. So it's a Apache 2.0. Get in there. So we did have a crack with image to image, and it does work, okay? What I've done is I've used aspect size to drive Dinsky, which is a bunch of random shapes and stuff. And then that's going to go through my image size adjuster. Which one is this? Medium rare. This is my medium rare image to image, okay? Then we go into an image resize. So here's the prompt. It's the same Cthulhu Bishop prompt with the text on top. We've got the 1.5 boost still, 36 with 4.0, everything I've said about so far. We've just got it on basic, even though it's not. We're going to run this one now, and I'll show you what it does. So my Dinsky Plus generator will simply take the image that we want, the size we want, and it will, when you connect it like this with the width and the height, it's going to make a 16:9 1000 by 20. It's going to make the image for us, right? Random image, and it's seed generated as well, just so you know. And you can control all these different things here. There's loads of stuff you can change, but essentially you're going to make this. It's going to go into this. It's going to go into this, and then eventually whatever it makes goes into this with the correct sizes and everything, and then it makes that. And obviously you can change it, because look, I've put it on denoise 0.95. Somewhere between 0.75 and 0.9, I think, is what we're looking for. Aha! So now we're getting in somewhere in the middle, and like I said, it's a very creative model. So I think once people get this under control, it's going to be really interesting when they're not, because I'm just injecting random shapes right now, okay, to give it some coolness. All right, but like obviously you can do whatever you want, right? Okay. Let's go on to the next one. The next one is a more sane image to image. So this is literally just an image size adjuster, so it gets it'll detect the aspect ratio and bring it in line with SDXL. So it'll automatically, it's like the opposite of aspect size for images. It'll like automatically discover the closest aspect ratio, calculate the height and width. You plug that into your favorite resize tool on fill crop, and it'll like, there might be some cropping, but it'll put it to the safest one for whatever multiple of that you need to target for the model you're on. That'll get the best images out of it. Same with doing model sampling flux. So you've seen all of this before. It's all the same, and I think that is the last workflow. So take a read on my article. It's really simple. Download one model, put it in the right folder, models, checkpoints, and update your Comfy. And then my Lumina pack is already up here. Why not share some images? I love to see people's posts. You just add a post and chuck some of the images you made with Lumina up there. All right. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to join the Discord. And I'll see you next time.